Hello there. This is King of the Muck, otherwise known as King Dibble, Garsot, Joshua Dibble, a bunch of different names you can call me. Um, and I'm here to do another video to discuss, a couple of issues and that I think are important, as well as, a little bit of social commentary. Um, as usual, I don't really have a set structure as like what I'm going to be talking about here. I guess it's more like just an open discussion, and I speak on it as I think of it. Um, I don't really edit. I mean, I don't. Nah, I would edit videos. I haven't really done it yet. I might edit some, but I'm not really big into editing when it comes to like discussion videos that I do. Mostly because it kind of takes away from the authenticity of it, even though it can help with like cutting down on dead air time and stuff like that. But whatever. Uh, I don't really, since I don't really do like structures, I don't really know exactly how, what I, I have my subject that I'll be talking about, but then I'll figure, I don't really know what the points that I'm gonna hit. Um, I guess for this video, I should probably explain exactly who I am, because I have this YouTube channel. I'm trying to get, not necessarily even trying to get people to follow me. It's just that if people do follow me or watch my videos or something, I'm trying to showcase a good reason to. Um, you know, I'm not. I don't really. The idea of fame is it's appealing, yeah, but I don't really. I'm not really too big on the idea of being famous. I do like to entertain. I'm not the most entertaining person in the world. I'm probably not even that entertaining to a lot of people. Um, I find myself entertaining. You know, I find I'm pretty self-aware. Um, I'm a clever person. I'm not, not like on the draw clever, but I'm pretty intelligent, pretty fair, and a good person and stuff. But I guess like it's good to let the people who have come onto this channel, or if they were to come across me, to give an idea of like the type of person that they're speaking with or interacting with. Me, like I said, I'm the first thing that's really important. Not necessarily, well, it's the most important thing, but it's like the most uh, uh, it's the most prominent thing about me is that I'm a really nice person. Uh, really nice. I don't have any. Uh, I don't have any faculty in me or any part of me desires to like harm others or to see others in harm. Um, I'm not rude. I'm very, courteous and kind to people, and I'm even courteous and kind to people that don't necessarily deserve it. Like people that are big, really big pieces of shit and don't deserve friends. For some reason, even though I know better, like I'm not one of these people who like thinks that you know it to be truly kind you have to be kind to people that are awful to you. I don't think so. I'm not on that mentality. I'm kind, but I'm also rational. People who are like pieces of shit that are like racist or sexist or homophobic and stuff like that, like that uh, intentionally go out of their ways to like spread messages against that and to like oppose it. I don't feel the need. I don't feel it to be appropriate to be kind to them. If I know someone's a piece of shit, I'll be kind because I'm not trying to like start an altercation, but I'm not doing it to out of respect for them. I'm doing it out of respect for. I'm doing it out of my own personal uh, safety. Uh, but I'm not on this idea. You come across it a lot, and talking to people, they make it seem like You know, if you're if you want to truly be a good person, you got to be kind to everybody, and that's stupid because if you're kind to like people who have that sort of unkind mentality, obviously you're not promoting that behavior, but you're promoting the idea that you should be kind to them. That obviously if you're doing it to respect them. To me, I have no respect for people like that, and you know I don't feel the need to be nice to them. I feel like it is inappropriate. So I'm kind, but I'm also intelligent. I'm also rational and fair. Um, my kindness goes to those who deserve it. It's kind of like the idea, like, and there's this, the mentality you see or you come across a lot, where it's like, you don't, respect is given or earned, not given, or something like that. Like basically, like you don't, I guess like the mentality is that like you don't respect, nobody gets deserves respect. You got to earn it, and I don't do that way. My is like I'm kind of like the opposite. Like when I meet a stranger, like someone and for the I meet someone, I automatically give them the utmost respect that I can give. I give them, I'm completely 100% respectful to them. As in I don't try to insult them, I don't try to hurt them, I try to treat them kindly. Um, but now if they start doing something that's fucked up, you know, then they lose my respect, and that's how I go about it. My thing is, you have my respect, you can only lose it. You know, there's ways to gain more of my respect, but like if you're like a you go to charities and you help feed homeless and starving kids or whatever, and obviously but like like anyways, like you would already have my respect, my utmost respect anyways, and doing anything like that would just be like more. Um, so yeah, like that's how I approach strangers. It's like you come up to me, and I'm automatically saying like I will fucking like it doesn't matter your skin color, your sex, your personal preference, gender or sex, whatever. Um, as long as you don't start acting like a piece of shit and start treating me and others like shit, all the respect for you. I'll help you in any way that I can. Um, you know, that I'm capable of. Um, but then you got, and then to expand on that, this whole idea of respect. My idea of respect seems to be a bit different than what other people seem to think it means, and I'm not trying to make it seem like my idea is superior. I mean, but it is. My idea of respect is superior. Um, but there's this general idea that like in order to respect someone, you have to let them do whatever they want individually. Like for example, the whole like respecting religion thing. This idea that you're supposed to respect other people's religions, and I'm okay with that idea as long as it's not like a really fucked up, oppressive religion like Christianity, and I don't really know too much about Judaism, but like you know anybody that follows like the Bible or the Quran and stuff like that, like to the point where like they're bashing gay people or supporting slavery or the promoting your uh, you know have the mentality of being racist and stuff like that. I don't have to respect that, and I don't. And to me, uh, you're not a disrespectful person if you don't respect that. Like to me, if you respect that, you don't deserve respect. Like if I actually got into an argument with someone a while ago, and this was someone that like I considered like to be a really good friend. I didn't know this person for long, but like you know I'm kind of get attached to people pretty easily because like I said, my whole thing is like as long as you're nice and seem, and as long as you're, you know, behaving in a way that's appropriate, I'm willing to, you know, give you my entire heart and soul and mind, and that, whatever it is I could do to make your life better, or just, or be a part, be a good, you know, part of your life. But anyways, like I was talking to this person, and we got into the idea of like, and we got into the idea about religion, and I kind of made the point that I wanted to like get rid of a lot of the, to get rid of like the big religions out there, like the monotheistic religions, like the Christianity and Islam and Judaism and stuff like, and those three specifically, based off of what I knew about it, how I see people act, like the uh, the values that those religions seem to have and promote. So I was talking about wanting to get rid of them, and this person like got mad at me, and this person wasn't even religious. They don't really practice it, but like they were kind of upset because they were saying like, oh, you need to respect other people's religious choice and religious beliefs and stuff, basically like that. And I was like, I got mad because I was like, you're really going to defend? You're really going to defend? I'm not talking about like, you know, uh, you know, getting rid of people just trying to live their life and whatever. I don't care if you believe in God or Allah or Buddha or whatever. What I care is that like, okay, like, do you think homosexuals are homosexuality is a sin? Do you think it's okay to enslave others? Do you think it's okay to beat women because men are superior? Like this, when you follow those ideas, that's the type of shit that I'm trying to get rid of. And there's people out there that will tell you that you can't do that, that you have to allow people to think like that and to behave like that. And to me, that's absolutely insane. Like that is not at all what we want to have. Not even to have people thinking that way. We're trying to the rational folk out there. We're trying to like pull away from that sort of mentality because that's an obviously dangerous and not even it's just an inefficient mentality to have. There's no benefit from that. That benefits that person who thinks like that, maybe if they can succeed in whatever fucked up thing they're trying to make happen. But even just having that mentality is dangerous and inappropriate and stupid. So when she said that, I got mad, and I just kind of like lost respect for her, respect for that person because of that. Because my whole point is like, why the fuck am I gonna respect a religion that doesn't respect my ability to make choices, that will condemn me, even whether it's real or not, but that thinks it's okay that if there was a God, that he would condemn me to hell for certain choices and stuff like that, like for homosexuality or being the wrong race or you know eating fish on a Friday or some shit like that, whatever the other bullshit. And there's the whole idea of like Old Testament and New Testament. That's even going into the idea of even if God even exists, but it doesn't matter if it does or not, and it doesn't matter if the whole point would be like your God at one point thought that was okay, and even like the New Testament isn't even that. They still consider homosexuality as a sin, an abomination, and then like there's still idea of like slaveries and shit, like slave drivers and everything. So I'm not, the point is I'm not of this opinion, this false opinion that you have to respect every belief out there. You have to respect other people's fucked up ideas. Like if you have those type of mentalities, like you need to be taken out of society, like put into like rehab or something like that, and put into therapy to get you off of that, because that is psychotic or a sociopath. I don't. It's crazy fucking to think that there's people out there that think that's okay. Um, and now uh, and that kind of goes into like this next point of like the whole like appropriateness in society, um, and the whole like idea of like what respect is. Because again, people don't really know what respect even means. You know, especially from that example I just gave of what I was just talking about. If you think that that's what respect is, you don't know what respect is. And then there's this next idea about respect that like it kind of deals with the religious things, but more like going into like superstitions and less of that, but more into like uh, personal like insecurities and personal um, preferences on your daily uh, like your daily living activities, and to be respectful, you can't you know try to. Let me give you this example. Um, watched a video recently of this guy, this Japanese guy. I don't know if he was in Japan or whatever, but this Japanese guy talking about this dude in Japan. He's a foreigner. He went over to Japan, and he's playing music in a restaurant. He's playing it loud, and everybody's getting upset, and they end up calling the cops on him and stuff. And he's getting pulled out of this restaurant because he's playing music too loud. He wasn't hurting anybody. Yeah, he's maybe distracting others, but like, I don't know. Like, I left a comment on there. I was kind of like flaming the dude that made the video, and then like I kind of brought it up in like other forums, and like, yo, yeah, that because it was in Japan, and like there's like I was making the point that man, that was pretty strict over there, and he's like, yeah, yeah, well, you get that in any country. Somebody playing music, and and he was kind of like on the defense of the people, calling the cops to get him arrested and stuff. And I'm just like, bro, he's playing music. Like, you're really gonna be, like, I understand. Okay, fine, you go out and you're trying to have a nice, relaxing dinner, and then somebody's playing music, loud, and it's not music you like. But like, I'm kind of a culture of like, who cares? Like, he's not forcing me. He kind of is forcing me to listen to it because he's playing it loud. But he's not like blasting it in my ear. He's not like pushing it into my face. He's not like doing anything physically violent. He's just listening to music really loud. And we've kind of come to this like idea that like uh, that our personal space is something that has to be held sacred. Now, obviously, if you're in a restaurant and someone comes up and starts like slapping you or spitting on you or pushing into you or something like that, then yeah, it's a violation of your personal space. Uh, if someone's like out, throwing stuff at you and they're across the room, or they're like throwing water or something, or you know, talking shit to you, calling you, names and stuff, then yeah, that's a violation of your personal space. But if a dude's just sitting in a restaurant and he's playing his music too loud, like that's no reason to get upset. Uh, if I'm out somewhere and someone's playing their music and it's music I don't like, I don't care. I don't give a shit because I have more, uh, self control and self realization to know that that dude playing music too loud isn't fucking hurting me. You know, uh, I understand that I'm not gonna have to put up with this forever. Eventually, I'm gonna get out of this public space, and then I won't have to listen to it anymore. But I'm not gonna sit here and I don't sit there and think like, oh, this fucking dude you need to get him out of here because he's disturbing me and shit. Like, you know, we have this idea that we like, I don't know, we somehow get this crazy fucking mentality that we own the right to, put borders on like open air and space out in, the world. And it's a understandable where that mentality comes from, because we're used to growing up with borders and walls and houses where we have our own space, and we don't have, we can close ourselves off from everybody else. But you know that's that comes into the idea where like you're putting your own like insecurities, because that's, it's basically what it's doing. Like, you know when we have these nations with these borders, and then we have our houses and our property borders and our fences and then our rooms and then our whatever personal spaces. We're kind of building these walls of like insecurity around us. And it is insecurities because like you start to push off the outside influences. And so you kind of like mentalize, you put like a mental uh 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 like a mental I don't even know how to like a blockade to everything out of it. And so like you got yourself boxed up in this personality of yours, that anything that's outside of it, you know if it's, it's a violation against you. Anything outside of your comfort zone, it's a threat. And it's an irrational thought. And you can see that because when because literally, like, think of the scenario. You're out in a restaurant, and you're eating dinner with your family, and then someone starts blasting music. And it's, let's just say it's even like, you know obviously, going back to the whole like respect thing, it depends on like whatever message you know the music is trying to promote. But like, let's just say it's just like some gangster rap music, and it's all about drugs and booze and you know fucking women and all this other stuff. It's not exactly promoting that sort of stuff, but it's just what these artists like to rap about because it's a entertaining subject. Now this is where I would this is where people with families and stuff would start to argue with me, and I'll probably get like flamed for this. But like, say you're out with your kids and shit like that. First of all, I'm of this idea that like people need to stop like trying to protect their kids from like shit that doesn't need matter anyways. Like trying to protect them from like swear words and vulgarness and all this other stuff, and you're kind of just like, it goes back to the whole like main religions and shit. It's usually it's like some like, it's like weird because like this whole like Christianity and monotheistic. It's not really like the fact that it's monotheistic. It's just like these religions that are really oppressive and like trying to shame its members into not doing certain activities. It kind of like washed over into the general accepted, uh, like it kind of washed over into a cultural thing where it's accepted by people who aren't even religious, but they follow religious type of cultural norms. Like people that don't swear. It's weird to me that people consider certain words to be bad. And I don't mean like, there's words that have been used in like the word nigger. Like that's a pretty offensive word. I might have to edit that because you're not supposed to say that sort of stuff. But like, you got you know like racial slurs and homophobic slurs and stuff like that. Those are pretty bad, but it's bad because that's what it's used for. Like that's like its main purpose. But like words like fuck and shit and stuff like that, that's not the same. Like to me, like I don't really see like anything wrong with like using vulgarity, like vulgar language like that. Um, and I've never, even as a kid, never really cared. And that's probably because I grew up in not really a religious home, so I didn't really have to worry about, you know, I grew up, with idea that usually people use those words and or that to insult others, and but then it's not even the word. It's just the fact that you're trying to insult others. That's the context that matters. Um, so I'm just not on this idea of like protecting, or not even the protecting part, but like uh, people suggesting that like you're not supposed to curse, or not even that, but like, you're if you're cursing and stuff, that somehow makes you a bad person, and that somehow makes you like, I don't know, this shit's just fucking weird. I don't, and I'm not bothered by that. Like, I don't think that way because I'm an intelligent person. You know, if someone's whole vocabulary is like just curse words and you know, lewd and crude, uh, you know, things, I don't care. Like, I don't. It doesn't. I'm not gonna judge them, poorly because of that. Because that's not, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're a piece of shit. They could be just that just could be the language that they use. You know, and that's just one of the things we realize that just there's a language that people use, and it's not always gonna be the language that we're used to. But you have to learn to accept people individually and accept that you're gonna find words and stuff that you know you might necessarily not be used to being used on a regular basis. you know but then to just go from that to just saying that some words you shouldn't be allowed to say, it's stupid. I don't care if anybody like agrees or not, but it is stupid. Like, and the only people that are really going to disagree are kind of like, these are the people that are really religious, or the people that have had these religious ideas like washed into their culture. Because again, I'm an intelligent, rational being. Somebody saying fuck isn't gonna ruin my day. You know, someone being in a restaurant listening to music isn't going to ruin my day. If it comes to the point where somebody listening to music loudly is causing me to have like some sort of like fit, there's something that either something's going wrong in my life or there's something going wrong in my head. Like, either I'm crazy or like, I'm very insecure, or I'm just a fucking, oppressive person that can't, is trying to make everybody else shut the fuck up or something like that. But yeah, so that's when it comes to respect, that's how I am. I don't care how people talk. To me, it all comes down to like the behavior they have altogether. Like, you know, this guy swears all the time, but he's out there, rescuing puppies and shit like that. Or like this guy fucking never swears, but he's a racist or something like that. And that's actually the kind of what's funny, because that's is the kind of like shit you come across, and at least where I live, like you come across people who like they don't really swear or anything. They're not and that's how you kind of know, like, if you come across a person who's telling you not to swear, and he's a lot of times it's connected to like this whole like God and Christian religious thing, and then like they're usually pretty closed-minded about like others. So it's like a weird oh, not hypocrisy thing, but like an ironic thing. Um, that's not to say every Christian, because like I've met people who said they're Christian and stuff, and they're completely different from like the Bible thumping, nun, and no sex and no vulgarity type of people that I run into. I know people who are Christians who like are they promiscuous and lewd and crude and everything like that, and that's what I like. I like people that are like that. I don't like people that are rude for the sake of being rude, or anything. I don't like rude people, like crude and lewd, and people who are you know I'm not really big on like talking about like sex all the time or anything like that, but people who are open enough to do that and sort of stuff, I like those sort of people, because they don't really have the stupid boundaries put onto them that other people do. Um, So I'm a nice guy. I'm respectful. Um, I'm a pretty logical person. Like, I don't really like talking about this stuff right now. Like this, like when it comes to like social commentary and like how to behave and social behavior and stuff like that. I don't really have opinions. Uh, I mean, I don't really. I very rarely will have like an actual opinion, and when I do, I don't let it affect my ability to speak on such issues and like my actual like the behavior that I try to promote. I've said this in other videos too, but I don't, and it sounds weird and it sounds like almost unbelievable. Like, how do you not have an opinion? But I don't, because I've trained myself to like when it comes to stuff like this, interacting with others, figuring out how to, build good social structures between people, social connections, and the appropriate way to behave. I've trained myself to not use any of the biases or the opinions or the anything that I've been that's been programmed into me since I was a kid. By whether it's like TV or again, I didn't grow up in a religious home, but we were around a lot of religious people. Not even just religious, but like school and stuff like that. They try to promote like uh, they try to promote like really a really not inorganic, but a really uh, a social norms that aren't really malleable to um, you know individuals. They you're kind of like indoctrinated through, and not really even a conspiracy theory. It's kind of reality where like you're kind of indoctrinated. Like growing up in school, learning to you know hand over the heart for the flag, Pledge of Allegiance, and the fucking they try to teach you like try to instill in you their good values and stuff like that. But all these people that are doing it, they don't really know what good values are because they're based off of what they grew up with and stuff, and like it's not based off of logic or workable um, you know workable ideas, concepts. It's based off of opinion and authority. It's based off of the older. It's usually like an older thing, an age thing. Listen to your elders and blah blah blah. But like you know, we've come to learn. At least I've come to learn that just because someone's older than me doesn't mean that they know what the fuck they're talking about. Just because someone's an expert in one field doesn't mean he knows how to do this. And especially when it comes to something as uh, important as social interaction, this is something that needs to be done correctly. And that's what I've realized, and I've trained myself to do that. To where and it's based off of a very simple principle of trying to do trying to be as good as a person as you can be, and then trying to be as good to others, uh, as good to others as they deserve it. Like I said, if someone's a racist or a piece of shit or something like that, you don't treat them kindly. You kind of just don't even, if you can, like, don't even interact with them, like, don't even make them a part of your life. But you're not trying to hurt anybody physically, emotionally, or mentally. You're not trying to control anybody. You're not trying to, you're not trying to manipulate anything to anybody to any fucked up way. You can obviously try to like help people or provide like training for people to get them into better thinking, into to get into like a better way of living. But if that's but as long as your intention is to do that. And now, that's one of the hardest things, and that's what that for me, like, intention is everything. You got intention and action, and the first step is making sure that you have you know honest and honorable intentions. I know I do. I'm a very you know good intention oriented person. I have no desire to hurt others or do anything awful, you know, or to be awful. I just like being a good person, even if I'm not interacting with anybody. I like to still just be a good person and intend to do my best to be a good person. Um, and that's the important part. That's an important mentality to stick. It's not even necessarily being a good person, but knowing that you're trying to be a good person. That's the important part, because that's obviously you want to succeed in that, but like, even if you can't, you're at least, if you're at least trying, at least. But now you always have to understand that you can't tell what somebody's emotion or somebody's intention is. At least we don't have the technology to, like, read people's minds or anything yet, or like, lie detectors or aren't really like lie detectors. It doesn't work like that. But like, let's just say we come up with a technology one day where we can you know truly know what a person's intention is. Then it would be a lot easier. But right now we don't really have that. All we have is the way people behave, and that's how I deal with others. Is that's how I've come to construct what I know, not really construct, but like, to understand uh, the true appropriate way to act and to deal with others, and construct a way of uh, uh, presenting that, constructing a good argument, a good platform to promote the appropriate behavior. Because I've watched people. I've been in prison. I've been in the military. I've been homeless. I've been with people who have kids. I've taken care of kids. I've taken care of kids that weren't mine. I've taken care of my own family. I've provided. I've had things provided for me. And I've talked. And I've watched. And I've learned. And I've listened. And I've just, put everything together. And I saw the worst ways to treat people. And I saw the best ways to treat people. And, I, and you come to understand, because there's ideas of like, oh, you know that there's a whole argument out there. Oh, well, that's just your opinion that the way that they're treating others is bad. But it's not. Because if you're seeing someone who's like, raping others, who's attacking, I'm speaking this as the whole prison, and it's not just prison. I've met people like this out. Let me give you an example. I met this guy in jail, and he was he's supposed to be a Christian. He said he was. So he kept mentioning was trying to get his life right with Jesus. We're talking, and he ends up telling me one day that he doesn't like lesbians. He hates lesbians. And he told me he hates them so much that he wants to go out and rape them, get them pregnant, so that they won't be lesbians anymore. Nobody in their right mind would ever consider that to be right. Would ever consider that to be protect that opinion. This person's mentality was that he hates lesbians so much he wants to rape them, get them pregnant, so they can't be lesbians anymore. Now, when I heard this, my thought was, this motherfucker needs to die. Like, if that's really what he thinks, he shouldn't be walking the street. He shouldn't. I was like, this motherfucker is going to is the bane of everything I'm trying to do. I couldn't do anything, because he could have just been talking shit. I don't know. You have to give that out there. He could have just been saying it, but like, the way he was saying it, it was like, I was mesmerized. I was blown away. Somebody could say that. And I thought about like, okay, what would people who say this whole idea of respecting others' opinions, what would you say to that? What would your response to that be? What would their response to that be? I ask myself, and I would to you know simulate this idea. Let's say I approach someone and I tell them you know should I respect that opinion? Should I respect that person saying that? You know, obviously to me, no. Like, if that's how that dude truly feels, he needs to die. Like, now. Like, if that's really how he is, like, he needs to not exist somehow. Um, and so you come across like that, and now, obviously, as I said, nobody could argue that that's a good opinion to have. That's a good mentality to have. And that's probably about the worst you can get as a mentality goes. Like that, I can't imagine anyone would disagree with me saying that that's probably like, that's on the realm of being as big of a piece of shit as you can be if that's literally what you think, and especially if you go out and actually do it. Anyways, so objectively, I think of okay, that's the type of mentality and behavior that is objectively bad. Like there's that's like if there's like a measure, if there was to be like some sort of measurement, because that's how you know when something's objective. Like in science, it's based off of if it can be measured. If there is a measurement standard for like for a correct, like a scientifically objectively correct behavior and mentality to have, like opinion, that would be like it's some sort of that would be somewhere on that measurement of the the really really bad. So then you go the opposite way. What would be like the opposite of that mentality? Someone obviously who doesn't hate lesbians, who don't want to rape lesbians or impregnate them to get them to not be lesbians anymore. Like, oh my god, dude. But so that that would be where the opposite is. Of that measurement is you don't have the mentality, and not even that you don't have the mentality is you have the mentality to not let people think like that anymore, or to at the very least stop people from try to stop people from thinking that way, or prevent any sort of issues that can come from that mentality. So objectively, and that's a true story. I don't know what this dude actually, what his thought process was, but that's the shit that he said. And so like objectively, that's there's your objective, morality. That's a way to determine it. And there's a guy out there. His name is Sam Harris, and he's like kind of well known like scientist or whatever. He speaks on, and he kind of does like the whole like morality thing. He's on this idea of like morality in science, and I think there is. I think that with through science, and I know there is, because through the scientific method of observation and just using the observations to construct a you know a logical, reasonable point. Uh, there is a objective morality, you know, outside of religion and culture. It's nature. Nature kind of already tells us what's bad and what's not. What's appropriate and what's not. You know, we're scared of pain. We're scared of rape. We're scared of being trapped. We're scared of that's our moral that's basically the moral compass that we have is like it's in us naturally. We know it's not even knowing what's good and what's good or not, what's good or bad. It's we know what our intention is, and that's now we obviously there's always people that have good intentions, but they don't really they don't really act well because they don't really know how to act out their intentions, and that's something that needs to be adjusted to. But like the first step is to as far as like the the individual goes, like our for own personal growth, like is to get to the idea of having good intentions, or at the very least not having bad intentions, and and nobody could really argue against that. Having bad intentions is a choice that should be protected, that should be respected, because that's literally like stupid and wrong and absolutely idiotic to say. Um, so you know, uh, so yeah, that's how I go about the whole uh, morality thing, and that's how I base my moral compass of no, not necessarily not just based not how I behave, but how I know that the way that I behave is correct, like the correct objectively moral way to behave. Um, so that's kind of what you can expect from me. Uh, and then on top of that, I am of this idea that I'm not, again, going back to the whole idea of like respecting other people's. I respect a person, like if someone's religious, but they're not, like if someone's a Christian, but they don't follow like the fucked up parts. I don't have a problem with that. But when they do follow like the homosexuality being a sin and all that, that's where I have the issue. And I have no. I guess I gotta said this earlier. Like I don't really care about them. I'm not a pacifist. I'm not sitting here trying to like get into fights or anything like that. But I you know I have no problems with like capital punishment and shit. Like if someone's like out there raping a bunch of people and shit, and they're fucking being awful, like I have no issue of you know zapping that motherfucker. Uh, I'm not. I'm not. I'm a bleeding heart, but I'm not fucking uh, that much. I'm not crazy. I'm not sitting here gonna allow people to do awful things. Um, uh, I mean, other than that, like then I'm on top of outside of that, I'm pretty cool. Like I like doing, I listen to music, I watch movies, I play video games. I'm not as athletic as I would like to be. I'm not in as good a shape as I would like to be, but I am into sports. I'm into fucking, I've played sports, played football, never for a team like for school or anything, but like pickup games and basketball. And I'm pretty decent at football. I'm shit at basketball. Like I have no dribbling skills whatsoever. Ball handling skills. Not really hand-eye coordinated. Not that well. My hand-eye coordination is not that good. I've been trying to practice that, trying to get better. Um, uh, and then like, so yeah, I'm a pretty easy person to get along with. Uh, as long as you're not, someone's not a piece of shit, I'm willing to talk to them, and I'm trying to be more helpful in my community. I got this shirt, like this green dot shirt. It's a organization down here. I don't know if it's national, but here in Florida, it's like a violence prevention uh, organization. Like they go to like school campuses, like college campuses and stuff, and they try to promote the idea of like being a basically watching out for your community, making sure nobody's getting raped or beat up or bullied or anything like that. And it's like learning how to identify uh, you know situations where that sort of thing can happen, and how to prevent it, and like the actual steps to preventing it. And like what would you're in a scenario where let's say like a guy is, do you see someone and there's a couple and they're arguing and the guy is pulling the chick into the car and like pushing her in against her will. Like, how do you know if like how do you identify that as like, you know, they could be a couple, they could be just angry, and what are you supposed to do, and how do you approach it, and learning to learning like how to read boundaries and respect them, and but at the same time, you know, doing whatever you can to help in case something were to happen, whatever. Um, so yeah, like I'm kind of like, again, but it goes back to like the whole like not being in good shape. Like I'm the type of person that like I do try to like be around in the community to be a helpful hand when I need to. I kind of try to make sure that uh, people are safe, and if something happens, I want to be able to protect anyone that's like caught in the middle. Like I don't really have a problem with like. And see, this is me anything. Like, I'm used to like, I'm not trying to say like I'm a Viking or anything, but I'm used to like the Viking mentality of like, cause I've been around the people who are big into like the whole Viking mentality of like, violence and partying and stuff like that. That's kind of like a normal thing. Like if I'm at a party and these two people, let's say they get into an altercation over whatever it is they got going on, you know, they're fighting or whatever, but they both have a legitimate reason to do it. Or let's just say that, they decide to do like just have a fight because they like to fight, whatever. These two are fighting. I have no problem with that. I like UCF, I like cage, I like boxing, and so I don't mind. Let's say you're at a party and a guy's like, hey, drunk, or not even drunk, whatever, but just drunk, and like, hey, let's go a couple rounds just for fun. They're fighting and fighting and fighting. I don't give a fuck. But then like let's say like somebody on the crowd like ends up in the middle of it somehow. Like that's when I want to jump in and be like, yo, chill this out. Or let's go to the other scenario. Like you're at a party and these two guys got beef with each other. You know, I kind of grew up around the culture where like you try to mind your own business. If two people got beef, you kind of just supposed to like let it handle how it is. But like depending on it, like I am type I'm not really nosy. I'm not trying to like get into the business, but I am trying to like, hey, is there any way we can settle this without it getting into the point of like, the violence and shit? Because I try to, again, I'm very much of the violent culture. I love violence. I love violent video games and stuff like that. And I'm I do like violent sports and stuff like that. But I don't like, I don't like altercations turning into violence, because especially like altercations that like don't need to go that way. You know, you know. But that's just how I am. Like I said, if it's a piece of shit, again, I'm the type of person that if there's a piece of shit that's out there raping and killing a bunch of people, I don't mind giving that person the death penalty. But when it comes to just like enjoying, a social gathering and it turns into like a scrap fest, I try to make sure to, that I try to be the person that, if I can't stop it, at the very least, not try to flame it or inflame it or get anybody out of the way that might get hurt from it or something like that. I mean, so in that sort of way, I'm kind of a protector. Again, I'm not a badass. I'm not like sitting here saying I'll throw myself in front of somebody who's gonna get shot, but you know, something like that. But I do try to do stuff like that, like actively do, and I don't do it for like, you know, praise or anything like that. It's just that really is how I am. I really just, I kind of like to look over people and protect them. I think that's it. I think it kind of sums me up in a pretty good way. Like at least like my personality and stuff. Um, I mean, there's other things. There's a lot of deep stuff. Like as far as like my way of thinking and my way of approaching life. Uh, I'm pretty like I can go into that real quick. Like whole like my approach to life. Like I'm pretty like you come across pessimism a lot, and you come across like nihilism a lot. I'm not nihilist. Like I don't like not nihilist in the idea that like I the nihilism that I've kind of like read into is like the idea that life is meaningless, so it's like tragic or something like that. I don't think there is like a meaning to life. I don't think there's like some grand purpose to everything. Uh, but I don't see it as like a tragedy sort of thing, like a like in a negative way. It's just that's just the way it is. Like, and then we're just it's to me like the reality is the way it is. The universe is the way it is. We've come to exist in it, and now we make our own like there's no grand purpose as to why everything formed the way it is, but we create purpose in our own lives, and that gives purpose to life in general. And the purpose for me is to be as good as I can be at all times, and then help others to do that, to be as good as they can be at all times, in whatever way that means. Whether it's being good, first is it's actually not no it is, there is a specific way to that. It's being good, being a good person, having a good personality, being friendly and kind, and respectful and honest and honorable, and uh, open-minded, but not a doormat, not someone who allows stupid, uh, dangerous mentalities to thrive. So first, it's a mental thing. It's a getting your mind to the point where you have good intentions, and you know that bad intentions are wrong. And then on top, and then once you get to that, the next step is to now you act that way. Now you act every act. You're not going to do it all the time. It's not going to be perfect. Because there's it doesn't work like that. You have the good intention, and sometimes you're uh, walking down the street, and there's a somebody drops a wallet, and you're like, I can take it, and you pick it up and take it and leave, whatever. Uh, and I haven't done that recently, but I'm just saying, like, that's the sort of thing, But you're trying at least, trying, and then the next step is to act it out. Is to act out good intentions. Act out, make your every action based off of trying to be as good as a person as you can be. Um, and then after that, then you got learning as much as you can about the universe, and that's a huge thing to learning how to to disciplining yourself to being a good person, because the more you learn, the more you can the more somehow it gives you the ability to act, because that's how I've always been a good person, but learning more has definitely helped me, because it kind of like breaks down the barriers that we have with the rest of nature, thinking that we're superior or some sort of like special creature and shit. And individually we're all special, but like there's nothing necessarily special about being human, or about being a gorilla, or about being a planet or anything like that. It's just we're just bits of matter among other bits of matter. you know yeah, we can do things that other things that we have capabilities that others don't have, but that doesn't necessarily make us special. It just makes us different. But it's how we use those capabilities as individuals. That's where the specialty thing comes from. uh, and so like the next step is to develop your intellect, and then to develop your physical body, your physique, getting strong, becoming athletic if you want, whatever it is you decide, if you want to do that. But then like however, and then basically getting your body in whatever you want it to be. Me personally, I want to be as strong and fast and athletic as possible. What you know, I want to be that guy that can sprint for 10 minutes nonstop and fucking just gun it, whatever. I want to be that guy that can lift 1,000 pounds and still you know 1,000 pound weights repeatedly, stuff like that. But that's but I can think that way now because I'm already on the being a good person, having good intentions, then being a good person, then developing my ability to learn, my ability to take in knowledge and stuff. You know, and so that's that would be the simplest way of like naming the steps: good intentions, good actions, and then developing your skills. And that's like you know the form that I go. So for me, like I said, the first one's already done. I have good intentions always. My actions pretty much are always good because I've disciplined myself to follow my intentions. And now, uh, now the next step for me is trying to get others to do that. And that's not, that it's important to do, but like I've come to realize that, it, there's a lot of shitty people out there, and you don't have to dedicate yourself to trying to change others. You don't even have to dedicate yourself to trying to help others. Like going out of your way to like help people in need. I mean, it's good, obviously, if you can, and if you're a type of person that does that, then really good. But you also have to remember, like, we're in a world where and I'm not trying to promote. It's not promoting the idea like every man for themselves, but it's at the end of the day, you got to deal with whatever it is that's going on in your life, and it's a lot easier to help others when your life and your individual person is set first. Um, you know, you can't really help others when you're a mess. You know, you can't provide answers. And obviously, you can help like people moving and shit, whatever. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like helping someone grow as a person. You can't do that when you're a mess, or it's a lot harder to. You know, and mentally, I mean, if you don't know what good morals and stuff are, it's a lot harder to pass that on to somebody else. Um, the issue for me is, I do know what good morals are. I do know how to act and how to treat others, but it's just I got to deal with a lot of people that don't, and it's scary because especially when you come, a lot of my, it kind of, it kind of goes against a lot of the mentality out there. Again, religious, usually based, but of you know, just going, breaking through the boundaries other people place up in their lives, and that's scary because you can people get really offended and really uh, gung ho about their personal beliefs being you know tossed aside, even if you know even if it's the right thing to do, because some people are just stupid. They don't really know any better, and they're dangerous, but they're not really that bad. But then you got people out there that know that their views are that know that their own views are horrible, that know that they are just trying, that know that they're doing uh, that they have bad intentions, like purposefully, and that's it's just really those pieces of shit. Like they know that they're pieces of shit, but they're trying to protect their ability to be a piece of shit. Those are the worst. And there's a lot of people out there that I come across that are like that. You know, that know that they're trying to harm others, but feel like it's their right to do so, and it's dangerous. Not just even for me, like, not just for me, someone that's actively fighting against it, but like it's dangerous for society because then obviously we got people running around thinking that way. Like I said, that guy in jail wants to go rape lesbians, or this other guy that I met not in jail, but just some random guy on the beach that wanted to go, you know, shoot black people because he hated black people. Uh, I just there's people out there that I don't know. Again, I don't know if they're thinking that way, but that's the sort of shit they're saying. You know, that's what they're conveying, and so I'm like, fuck, man, this is the shit that I gotta deal with. Like, not just me, other people too. But I'm saying like this is the shit that I'm trying to stop, and it's just rough. Hmm. That's it for now. Kind of again. I just like I ramble a lot, but there's good points in it. And what I'm saying, if people would just listen to what the fuck I'm saying though. That's it. Video is done.